Ladies and gentlemen, today I want you to hold on to one idea because it's the single most important one you'll hear. We are standing at a crossroads, not a mild turning point, a sharp moment in history when the direction we take will determine whether America survives this storm stronger or crumbles under its weight. We are entering very, very dark times, and by dark, I don't just mean political tension, economic uncertainty, or social discord. I mean the kind of darkness that tests the foundations of our identity, our freedoms, our values, the idea that all of us deserve dignity, safety, and opportunity. Things most of us believed were secure are now under pressure. Things many took for granted: safety in our streets, honesty in our institutions, the promise that hard work opens doors, they are being questioned, eroded, undermined. Make no mistake, this is not fear mongering. This is clarity. This is a wake-up call, because leaders are not the ones who close their eyes and hope for light. They are the ones who reach for the match, even when the wind howls. We are not living in ordinary times. Every headline, every conversation, every uneasy silence around kitchen tables points to the same reality. Something is shifting, and not in a gentle way. The winds are no longer calm breezes. They're storms brewing on the horizon. And if you're paying attention, if you've got your eyes open, you can feel it. We are heading into very, very dark times, and the most dangerous mistake anyone can make right now is to pretend that this is business as usual. Urgency is not optional anymore. It's the air we have to breathe. The clock is ticking, and the belief that someone else will fix this, that some institution will step in and stabilize things, is a fantasy. Look around. The divisions are widening, trust is collapsing, and the systems we've always counted on are showing cracks that can't be ignored. If we keep waiting, hoping, delaying, the cracks turn into breaks, and breaks turn into collapse. That's how civilizations decline. Not overnight, but step by step, while people convince themselves there's still time left. You cannot fight darkness by sitting still. You can't overcome uncertainty with denial. And you definitely can't survive what's coming if your mindset is rooted in comfort instead of courage. The real crisis is not only what's happening outside, the economy wobbling, institutions faltering, polarization deepening. It's the paralysis inside. The quiet belief that maybe this storm will pass. Maybe someone else will take responsibility. Maybe it won't reach us. That illusion is the true enemy, because it buys the darkness more time to grow. History is full of warnings. Great powers fell not because the threats were invisible, but because they were ignored. People looked at rising costs, shrinking freedoms, corrupt leadership, and social fragmentation, and told themselves it wasn't urgent. They trusted yesterday's strength to carry tomorrow's weight. But strength decays when it's not renewed. Freedom erodes when it's not defended. Communities fracture when people stop caring enough to repair them. That is the trap we are standing on the edge of, and urgency is the rope that can pull us back. This moment demands a different mindset, one that refuses complacency, one that recognizes that waiting is the same as surrendering. If you see the fire spreading in your house, you don't debate whether to get up now or later. You don't assume the neighbor will handle it. You move, you act, you grab the extinguisher, you sound the alarm, you protect your family. That instinct is exactly what's required now, not tomorrow, not next year. The crisis we're entering is not limited to one arena. It's economic, families feeling the crushing weight of inflation, young people doubting whether they'll ever afford stability, entrepreneurs fighting uphill battles in a system tilted against them. It's political, leaders more focused on power games than on solving problems, parties feeding division rather than unity. It's cultural, truth blurred by misinformation, community replaced with tribalism, compassion drowned out by outrage. Each of these alone would be difficult. Together, they form a storm that demands attention with a force you can't ignore. Urgency means not only recognizing the storm, but also understanding your role in facing it. Every individual has agency, every choice matters, small decisions, whether to stay silent or to speak up, to retreat into comfort or to step into responsibility, add up to cultural momentum. When millions choose denial, decline accelerates. When millions choose courage, a new path is carved. That is why the time to move is now. But urgency is not panic. Panic paralyzes, urgency focuses. It says, I see the danger, I know the risks, but I refuse to waste another second pretending this isn't real. Urgency gives clarity, and clarity gives strength. It cuts through excuses, distractions, and the poisonous idea that comfort is more important than truth. And here's the truth. Darkness is coming closer every day. The economy will not magically stabilize on its own. The divides will not heal themselves. The institutions will not suddenly regain credibility without pressure and accountability. None of this improves unless people stand up, demand better, and commit to doing the hard work of rebuilding. That's the inconvenient truth. The longer we avoid it, the darker the road ahead becomes. So what do? We confront it head on. We make choices that look uncomfortable now but prevent disaster later. We educate ourselves instead of outsourcing our thinking. We engage in our communities rather than scrolling past reality. We demand integrity from leaders, even if it means walking away from those who fail us. And above all, we remember that the future isn't written yet. Dark times test us, yes, but they also reveal us, whether we are people who collapse under pressure or people who rise because of it. Urgency is the dividing line between those two outcomes. If you act as though there is still time to waste, you will be caught unprepared. But if you live with the awareness that the stakes are high and the moment is now, you become part of the resistance to decline. You become one of the sparks that refuse to let the fire consume everything. The message is simple, but it's sharp. The storm is here. The darkness is real, and the only way through it is with eyes open, hearts steady, and action immediate. The question is not whether you feel ready. The question is whether you understand that you don't have the luxury to wait until you are. That's urgency. That's the only way forward. Every era of crisis presents two choices: collapse or transformation. The darkness we're walking into is undeniable, but the truth is this: darkness doesn't get the last word unless we allow it. What defines whether a nation rises or falls, whether communities fracture or rebuild, is not the scale of the storm, but the vision of the people navigating it. And vision without action is just another dream collecting dust. Right now, what we need more than ever is not just awareness of the danger, but a bold, unshakable vision of where we're going, coupled with the courage to act like it matters. Vision is not about painting a rosy picture to comfort ourselves. It's not about optimism for optimism's sake. Vision is clarity about the destination when everything around us looks uncertain. It is the refusal to let fear dictate the future. In a time when voices are screaming at us to pick sides, to hate, to retreat into echo chambers, vision is the discipline to step back and ask, what kind of America do we want to live in? What kind of legacy do we want to leave? And how do we get there together instead of tearing each other apart along the way? The absence of vision is everywhere right now. Leaders chasing headlines instead of progress, communities divided, people consumed by survival instead of building. But here's the truth: when vision collapses at the top, it doesn't mean the story is over. It means the responsibility shifts. It shifts to ordinary people, to those who are willing to see further than tomorrow's headlines. If you are listening, that responsibility is staring you in the face. So what does that vision look like? It looks like rebuilding trust in a time of lies. It looks like protecting freedoms that generations before us fought for, even when it's inconvenient. It looks like creating an economy that rewards innovation, discipline, and contribution instead of feeding endless inequality. It looks like refusing to see each other as enemies simply because we disagree. It's a vision of courage, not comfort, not ease, not shortcuts, but courage rooted in the belief that the hard road is worth it if it leads to renewal. But vision alone is not enough. If you stop at words, you've accomplished nothing. Every vision requires a call to action, a demand that people move not tomorrow but now. That's where so many fail. They inspire but don't mobilize. Inspiration without action is just another speech. Action is the bridge that carries vision into reality. The call to action is simple, but it is not easy. It begins with personal responsibility. No one can demand integrity from leaders while living dishonestly themselves. No one can call for unity while spreading division in their own circles. Action starts with you. Your choices, your words, your courage to stand up even when it costs you. It extends to community. Darkness thrives when people isolate, when they give up on each other. But change begins when neighbors connect, when communities start solving problems themselves instead of waiting on distant institutions. Action means asking, where can I serve? Who can I help? How can I create instead of just consume? And yes, it reaches the national level. Action is holding leaders accountable. It's voting, it's demanding transparency, it's refusing to give power to those who divide and exploit. It's supporting innovation that builds resilience instead of decay. It's recognizing that democracy is not a spectator sport. It's a daily discipline. Some will say it's too late, that the problems are too big, but history tells us something different. Vision paired with action has toppled empires, ended oppression, rebuilt economies, and transformed societies. It is never too late if enough people believe it's not too late. The only fatal choice is apathy. But understand this, action requires sacrifice. If you want safety without effort, progress without struggle, freedom without responsibility, you're asking for something that has never existed. You cannot sit in comfort and expect renewal to arrive. You must be willing to step into discomfort, to confront resistance, to pay the price that change demands. That is the difference between wishful thinking and true leadership. Vision and action together create momentum. Momentum inspires others. It spreads. It multiplies. One person speaking truth makes it easier for another. One community rebuilding inspires the next. And soon, what once felt impossible begins to feel inevitable. That is the power of stepping forward when others shrink back. This is the moment to ask yourself, what will you build when everything seems like it's falling apart? What role will you play when your children ask what you did during the hard times? Did you wait for someone else to act, or did you step forward with courage even when the outcome was uncertain? That question will define more than your life. It will define the story of this nation. The call is clear. Stop waiting, stop blaming, stop hoping for someone else to do it. Start creating, start speaking, start leading. Vision without your action is worthless, but vision with your action can light the path forward for millions. The dark times are real, no one denies that, but vision shows us that the story is not over, and action proves that we are not powerless. Together, they form the only answer to the crisis we face. And if enough of us are willing to see clearly and act boldly, we will not only survive these times, we will shape them into a turning point. One future generations will look back on and say, this was the moment they chose courage over fear, action over apathy, vision over despair. That choice is here. That choice is yours, and the time is now. The hardest thing to do in times like these is to tell the truth. Not the comfortable truth, not the watered-down version that makes people feel good, but the raw, unfiltered truth that stings, that unsettles, that forces us to confront reality head on. Comfort has a seductive power. It lulls people to sleep, convinces them that everything is fine, that nothing is urgent, that someone else will handle it. But comfort is the drug that weakens a society from within, while truth, even when painful, is the medicine that saves it. Look around, every signal is flashing red. The economy is unstable, communities are divided, trust in institutions is evaporating, and yet so many still cling to the illusion that this is just a rough patch, that it will pass if we stay quiet, that normal will somehow return on its own. That is the lie of comfort, and as long as people choose comfort over truth, the decline will accelerate because problems don't disappear when you ignore them. They grow, they fester, they compound until they're too big to contain. The truth is that America is not guaranteed to remain strong. The freedoms we enjoy are not guaranteed to last. The opportunities we expect are not guaranteed to stay open. Nations before us believed they were exceptional, untouchable, destined to endure forever. They all discovered the same lesson. When you stop telling yourself the truth, collapse comes sooner than you think. The comforting lie says our leaders will fix it. The truth says most of them are consumed with self, interest, and power games, not the survival of the people. The comforting lie says technology and progress will solve everything. The truth says tools only amplify who we are, for better or worse, and without integrity, they accelerate destruction. The comforting lie says division is someone else's problem. The truth says division rots us all from the inside out. Facing truth takes courage because it demands change. It demands sacrifice. It demands accountability. And accountability means admitting that some of the blame rests with us. It's easier to point at politicians, corporations, or foreign threats than to look in the mirror and ask, where have I chosen comfort over responsibility? Where have I ignored what I knew was wrong because it was easier to stay silent? Where have I settled for convenience instead of demanding integrity? The truth is, we've all participated in this culture of comfort. We've traded depth for distraction, patience for instant gratification, responsibility for entitlement. We've looked away from corruption when it benefited us, excused division when it favored us, and tolerated mediocrity when it entertained us. That's not easy to admit, but it's necessary because nothing changes until truth is spoken, not just to others but to ourselves. And yet, truth is not just about exposing problems. Truth is power. Truth gives clarity. Truth shines a light in the darkness and shows a way forward. Once you accept the hard truth, that times are dark, that leadership has failed, that the road ahead will be difficult, you are no longer paralyzed by denial. You are free to act with precision, with urgency, with discipline. Truth liberates you from illusion, and with that freedom comes the strength to rebuild. We must stop demanding to be comforted and start demanding to be challenged. Stop rewarding those who flatter us with easy narratives and start listening to those who push us to see reality as it is. Truth tellers are rarely popular in their time, but they are always essential. The voices that warn us, the leaders who refuse to sugarcoat, the neighbors who call us to rise higher, they are the ones history vindicates. Understand this, truth will always cost you something. It may cost you relationships, opportunities, or approval, but comfort will cost you everything, your freedom, your security, your future. Which price are you willing to pay? The easy one now, or the devastating one later? That is the decision every person faces in times of crisis. The call is simple: choose truth. Choose it in your personal life. Be honest with yourself about your habits, your weaknesses, your responsibility. Choose it in your community. Speak up when lies are spread. Resist the temptation to stay silent for the sake of harmony. Choose it nationally. Demand honesty from leaders. Reject propaganda. Refuse to let convenience replace integrity. The more people choose truth, the more resilient we become because truth builds foundations that comfort can never provide. Dark times expose the weakness of illusions. Comfort may shield you for a moment, but when the storm hits, comfort collapses. Truth, on the other hand, endures. It gives you the tools to prepare, the wisdom to navigate, and the courage to rebuild. Comfort feeds despair because it leaves you unprepared. Truth fuels hope because it gives you clarity on what must be done. This is the dividing line. Entire societies have fallen because they preferred to be comforted rather than confronted. But societies have also risen against all odds because enough people embraced truth even when it was hard. The question now is, which will we choose? Will we bury our heads in comfort until the collapse is irreversible? Or will we face the truth, accept the pain of it, and rise stronger because of it? The time for illusions is over. The time for pretending is over. The time for comfort is over. What we need now is honesty, clarity, and courage. Because the only way to survive these dark times, the only way to find the light on the other side, is to embrace truth no matter how hard it is, no matter how much it hurts, no matter how costly it becomes. Truth is the weapon. Truth is the shield. Truth is the path forward. And once you commit to it, the darkness loses its power over you. When times turn dark, when the foundations we thought were unshakable begin to crack, survival doesn't belong to the strongest or even the smartest. It belongs to the most resourceful and the most resilient. History has shown this over and over again. Empires collapse, markets fall, governments fail, but the people who endure are those who refuse to be paralyzed, those who adapt, those who push forward even when everything seems stacked against them. That is the mindset we need right now. Resourcefulness is the ability to see beyond scarcity and recognize opportunity where others see only obstacles. It's the discipline to use what you have instead of waiting for what you wish you had. It's the creativity to solve problems without the luxury of perfect conditions. In a world where the economy is unstable, where institutions are unreliable, and where uncertainty is the new normal, resourcefulness is no longer optional, it's survival. Resilience is the companion to resourcefulness. It's the toughness to absorb hits without breaking. It's the strength to keep standing when circumstances knock you down. Resilience is not about pretending the pain isn't real. It's about refusing to let pain define you. It's the grit that says, this setback is not the end, it's training for the next battle. The dark times ahead will not ask whether you are comfortable. They will ask whether you are resilient enough to endure the discomfort and keep moving forward. Too many are waiting for perfect conditions to act, for certainty to return, for stability to be guaranteed. That mindset will fail. Stability is not guaranteed. Certainty is not guaranteed. The only guarantee is that those who adapt, who stay resilient in the storm, will be the ones who shape what comes next. The rest will simply be swept away. Resourcefulness starts with mindset. It's easy to see scarcity everywhere. Not enough money, not enough support, not enough safety. But scarcity has always existed. What separates leaders from followers is the ability to see beyond it. The person who looks at a crumbling system and asks, how can I create something stronger? The family that faces rising costs and asks, how can we adjust, simplify, innovate? The entrepreneur who faces rejection and asks, what lesson here will sharpen me for the next opportunity? That is resourcefulness. It's not about waiting for resources to appear, it's about becoming the resource yourself. Resilience, in turn, is forged in fire. It's not something you read about. It's something you build through hardship. Every disappointment, every failure, every betrayal, every setback, it all becomes training ground for resilience if you refuse to be broken by it. Resilience is choosing to rise again, not once, not twice, but every single time life knocks you down. And in dark times, life will knock you down more often than you expect. The question is not whether you will be hit, it's whether you will stand back up. When resources are scarce, creativity becomes your weapon. When times are hard, perseverance becomes your shield. Together, they create a power that institutions can't manufacture and markets can't buy. Resourcefulness and resilience are not dependent on wealth or privilege. They belong to anyone willing to cultivate them. A nation of resilient, resourceful people cannot be destroyed, no matter how dark the times get. But cultivating them requires discipline. You cannot build resilience if you run from every challenge. You cannot develop resourcefulness if you complain about every shortage. It requires a deliberate choice to see hardship as training rather than punishment. Every crisis is a classroom, every obstacle is a lesson, every failure is raw material for growth. Those who learn will endure, those who complain will collapse. Dark times strip away illusions. They reveal what people are made of. Comfort will not carry you through what's coming, entitlement will not carry you through, but resourcefulness and resilience will. They will allow you to adapt when systems fail. They will allow you to push forward when others give up. They will allow you to create a future when everyone else believes the future is lost. Think about the generations before us. They faced wars, depressions, oppression, natural disasters, and unimaginable losses. Many of them had far fewer resources than we do now. Yet they built, they survived, they rebuilt again and again. They were forced into resilience, and they discovered that human potential expands under pressure. If they could endure with so little, what excuse do we have with all we've been given? This is the call. Stop waiting for the world to get easier. Stop expecting someone else to hand you solutions. Start building your resilience today. Start exercising your resourcefulness right now. Learn new skills. Simplify your life. Build stronger connections in your community. Adapt your habits to prepare for leaner times. Train your mind to see possibilities where others only see barriers. These are not luxuries. They are necessities for survival and renewal. Resilience is contagious. Resourcefulness inspires others. When you stand strong in the storm, others around you find the courage to do the same. When you solve problems instead of complaining about them, you create momentum that spreads. The more resilient and resourceful people there are, the stronger the society becomes. The darkness ahead is not the end. It is a test, and like every test, it separates those who are ready from those who are not. The ones who endure will not be the ones who had the most wealth or the best connections. It will be those who refused to give up, those who refused to be paralyzed, those who chose to create solutions instead of waiting for rescue. So prepare yourself now. Build the habits of resilience. Practice the discipline of resourcefulness. When the systems fail, be the person who still stands. When others collapse, be the one who lifts. When hope fades, be the one who carries the flame. Because no matter how dark the times get, the resourceful and resilient will not only survive, they will lead the way into whatever comes next. Hope is a word people often throw around carelessly, as if it's a vague wish, a passive feeling that maybe things will get better someday. But real hope is not passive. Real hope is not naive. Real hope is not sitting back, waiting for the world to fix itself. Real hope is grounded in agency, the belief that the choices you make, the actions you take, the discipline you carry into every single day, have the power to shape outcomes even when the odds are against you. Without agency, hope is an illusion. With agency, hope becomes a weapon. We are heading into a period where despair will be easy to come by. People will see the instability, the division, the corruption, and they will feel powerless. That's how decline takes root, not because problems are unsolvable, but because enough people convince themselves that they can't do anything about it. Helplessness is the soil where hopelessness grows. But if you want to cut despair off at the root, you have to remind yourself of the truth. You are not powerless unless you choose to be. Agency is the understanding that your voice matters, your work matters, your example matters. It is the refusal to let yourself be reduced to a spectator. Too many people sit in the stands, critiquing the players, waiting for someone else to take risks, while they themselves never step onto the field. Hope grounded in agency means climbing down from the stands and playing your part in the game, no matter how small, no matter how difficult. Because once you move from passive observer to active participant, hope is no longer a wish, it's a plan. Hope without agency says, I hope someone fixes this. Hope with agency says, I will do my part to fix this. The first is fragile, dependent, weak. The second is durable, contagious, unstoppable. It multiplies because when people see others acting with courage, they're inspired to do the same. One person standing up gives another permission to stand. One community building solutions inspires the next to rise. That's how movements are born, not out of vague dreams, but out of deliberate action, fueled by a hope that's anchored to responsibility. But understand this, hope grounded in agency is not blind optimism. It doesn't ignore the darkness. It doesn't pretend the challenges aren't real. It looks the storm in the face and says, yes, this is dangerous. Yes, this will be hard, but I still believe we can overcome because I am willing to do my part. That's a different kind of hope. It's gritty, it's disciplined, it's earned. It doesn't crumble when reality pushes back because it was never built on illusions in the first place. The reason so many people lose hope is because they expect change to be instant. They take one action, see no immediate results, and decide it's pointless. That's not hope, that's entitlement. Real hope understands that change is a process, a grind, a battle fought day after day, choice after choice. Real hope knows that planting a seed today may not bear fruit tomorrow, but if you keep tending to it, a forest can rise. Hope grounded in agency is patient, but it's relentless. You may not be able to solve every national crisis, but you can solve something. You may not control global systems, but you control your household, your work ethic, your integrity, your contribution. Hope grounded in agency recognizes the power of the local, the immediate, the personal. If every person took full responsibility for what was within their control, the collective impact would be massive. Waiting for sweeping change while neglecting personal action is how decline accelerates, but small actions multiplied by millions are how nations turn the tide. Agency also means rejecting the victim mindset. Life is unfair, times are hard, leaders disappoint, systems fail. These are realities, but they are not excuses. When you believe you are a victim of forces beyond your control, you surrender the very power that could change your circumstances. Hope grounded in agency says, no matter how broken the world looks, I will not surrender my responsibility to act. I may not control everything, but I control something, and that something matters. Resilient societies are built on this kind of hope. They don't wait for rescue. They don't sit idle, waiting for light to break through. They light their own torches and push into the darkness. That is what separates decline from renewal. Despair paralyzes. Passive hope numbs, but active hope, hope grounded in agency, mobilizes, strengthens, and carries people through even the darkest storms. Imagine what happens if enough people embrace this. Imagine neighborhoods rebuilt by the hands of those who refused to give up. Imagine businesses launched by people who chose to innovate instead of complain. Imagine leaders rising from ordinary citizens who refuse to sit silent. That is not fantasy, that is the power of agency, driven hope. It is the only force strong enough to counter despair on a national scale. The choice is always in front of you. You can cling to false hope, the kind that waits for someone else to save you, or you can embrace real hope, the kind that demands action, responsibility, sacrifice, and perseverance. One will keep you asleep until it's too late. The other will wake you up and push you into the arena where history is shaped. Hope alone will not save us. Action alone without belief will burn us out. But hope grounded in agency, belief fused with responsibility, vision paired with discipline, that is the combination that has carried humanity through every dark chapter before, and it is the same combination that will carry us through this one. So hold on to hope, but not the fragile kind. Hold on to the kind of hope that rolls up its sleeves, that fights, that builds, that refuses to quit. Hold on to the kind of hope that reminds you every day you are not powerless, you are not helpless, you are not irrelevant. You are capable, you are responsible, and you are needed. That is real hope. And with it, even the darkest times can be endured and transformed. America, this is the moment we stop asking, what will happen to us? And begin asking, what will we do before it's too late? The darkness may be deep, but every single one of you holds a spark of courage, a spark of truth, a spark of change. Let that spark light your path, guide your actions, influence your words, shape how you live. History is watching, the generations yet to come are watching, and when they ask you, what did you do when things got hard? I want your answer to be, I refused to be silent, I stood up, I acted, because only by standing up now can we steer away from collapse and toward rebirth. So go forward, speak the truth, do the hard thing, love your neighbor, demand better, build better, because I truly believe that from this darkness, a stronger, more just America can rise. Not because it's easy, but because it's necessary, and necessary is what we will be. Thank you.